First E&P is a privately owned Nigerian explorer and producer, which has been started about 3 years ago. Started by the current CEO, Ademola Adeyemi Bero. Welcome.
Thank you.
You have quite an interesting history. You've worked a lot in big companies, then decided actually I want to run my own organisation. You started off from scratch really 3 years ago.
Yes.
Where are we now? At which stage is the company at?
Okay. Well, we've reached the stage where we were asset hunting the last 2.5 years. We've now gotten a rich portfolio of assets, and we're about to move into the development stage of those assets. So we have we have interest in 5 license blocks: OML 34, OML 40, OML 7172, and OML 8385. Varied interest and different partnerships. 4 of those are in the shallow water, where we will be operator of those blocks, and that's where we want to really demonstrate our capability and move into development in those assets.
And these are all assets that you've actually bought from other companies who have been, developed them to a certain extent. Now we're getting to the stage where they are ripe for proper development.
Absolutely.
And the 2 most significant ones?
The 2 most significant ones, actually, I'll call them, they're the ones in the shallow water. They're clusters of 2 blocks linked to each other. So OML 7172, which we bought from Shell with our partner Dangote, that's about to go into reopening up of an existing field and then further development. And then OML 8385, which is a new development, which we bought out from Chevron during their divestment. So that we've got 2 hubs we're about to move into development with.
So, exciting times, but how are you going to finance it?
That's always a big one. We've spent a lot of money and geared ourselves majorly by financing our acquisitions. So we're about to go into we're finalizing a capital raise, which is raising a mix of equity and debt. We're looking to raise about $500 million, a mix of debt and equity that allows us to actually move this development into first oil. And we have very healthy assets that once cash flows there, it can fund further growth. And we've got a major lead arranger for our financing, which is Deutsche Bank. And culminating in July, August, we should be finalizing all that structuring and start getting the injection of those cash flows into the company. Those funds into the company.
Yeah. Now, I suppose one might argue that 3 years ago, when you started this, the oil price wasn't great, but it's higher than it is now. And you're just poised for the development phase now. Yeah. Is your timing a little bit awry? Because one could argue with the oil price where it is, actually this is the worst time to start developing.
You know, when the oil price started falling, we bought assets at a high price. So essentially we bought assets at the high end of the price curve. But what are we doing now? We're trying to contract for rigs, in jackup rigs. We're trying to contract for leased FPSOs. We're trying to contract for lay barges. And with the oil price fall, we've seen most of these assets becoming more available. We've seen price for contracting them fall as well. So I actually think we actually, not something we orchestrated ourselves, but good luck has been with us, that we've been able to contract this at the low end of the price curve. And our view is, 2 to 3 year developments will be coming on stream when hopefully the oil price will start to rise. So we're getting the bang from 2 ends, lower cost for our services, and hopefully much higher prices when we come on stream.
And you say lower cost, what can you get the oil out at? It's shallow water, so that's helpful.
Look, this is the other thing the oil price has done for us. We've had to retune our development plans, look at the way we're phasing our developments. We're targeting that on a unit technical cost basis, we can bring in our assets at $20 or less. So that way we're robust over the long cycle for lower price. So that's our target. Our full development on the Anyala Madu field will be circa $800 to $900 million, generating 50,000 barrels of oil a day, and we're developing over 100 million barrels of oil and about half a TCF of gas. So our view is, optimal development, keep your UTC at $20 or less. I think we'll be there for the long haul and be able to ride different price waves.
So the oil, you're going to get foreign exchange benefit on that.
Absolutely.
But what about the gas? Are you looking for export markets, or is it all going to be internally consumed?
Well, look, one of the things we're priding ourselves as a Nigerian independent, and how can we influence growth in Nigeria? So really gas for us is the domestic market. I think the pricing is always a challenge, but we believe at $2.5, $3, we can make our developments work and deliver gas to domestic. We have a major partner in one of our assets, that's the Dangote Group, who are investing in refinery, petrochemical. We will be supplying our gas to that off-taker. So I think for us, gas for us for now is the domestic market.
And what about the political situation in Nigeria? I mean, you know, rightly or wrongly, the reputation is that it's a corrupt place to do business. You've got a new government. What's your take on that?
Let me touch on the corruption one first. You know, I always say this, you know, the oil and gas space has always been hit a lot. It's got bad press. But for the Nigerian independents coming through, and those of us who have worked for the majors, we know that sustainable success and winning amongst the pack will be when you're well-governed, business integrity is in place. And that's what's going to make you win over the long run. We've seen what's happened to a few of the companies we know today who have fallen just because of those issues. So I think the corruption issue in Nigeria, if you can play the game properly by making sure you're well-structured and well-governed, you've got a longer chance of winning this race.
But it also helps to have a government that is not corrupt. So what do you make of the new government?
And I'm about to come to that. I mean, I think what we have with this new government is it's not much of what they've done, it's just what they represent. I mean, if you go to President Muhammadu Buhari's antecedents when he was a president and the way he's lived his life, his vice president and what they bring to play, it's an integrity a ticket. And I think you already see people aligning. I mean, you know, all the deal makers are beginning to say, well, this is not the game we can play this time. I think just that alone is creating an integrative fora for not just the country, but for our industry. And I think it can only behold good things for us.
Right, okay. Ademola Adeyemi, Bero, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.